With the passage of Washington State House Bill 1181 in 2023, Clark County is now required to add a climate change element to its 2025 Comprehensive Plan update.
This legislation also changed our requirements for our land use element, our transportation element, our parks element. They cross-cut a lot of topics from economic development to the environment, and there's a lot of requirements around environmental justice and addressing health disparities.
The climate change element also includes a greenhouse gas reduction and a resilient sub-element.
For instance, we're supposed to be also reducing vehicle miles traveled per person. And then in terms of resilience, things like planting trees. We know areas with more trees tend to be cooler on a hot day. Is it coming up with some sort of way to help get air conditioning into more homes, or at least have community hubs where people can go to cool down on a hot day, or could also get warm on a cold day?
To support the county's efforts in climate change planning, 2 community advisory groups were formed. Each group meets once a month and early in the process receive data on what natural hazards are projected for Clark County over the next couple of decades.
One is a community advisory group. That is a group of 20 community members that the county manager appointed. They have all sorts of backgrounds, a really wide range of interests, from business interests to environmental advocates to youth and education advocates. They are tasked with using a consensus-based process to develop recommendations of goals and policies to include in this new climate change element.
If we can set up some kind of standards and reduce our overall climate emissions here in the county, to make a difference, and then also being able to weather any storm that might come from the climate changing, so being resilient. And our infrastructure is set up to be able to handle what's going to happen.
The second group is the Environmental Justice Coalition. This consists of 15 community-based organizations to help with public engagement and environmental justice requirements.
That group is helping us reach community members who may be more vulnerable to climate impacts, really helping us reach a lot of our underserved community.
We talk about some, barriers, some issues. We also talk about how to foster relationships, not only with the community members, but also with each organization to help serve our communities better.
Which populations were impacted by those hazards?
So far, the advisory groups have focused on resilience.
We are now shifting gears and focusing more on greenhouse gas reduction and improving air quality and reducing pollution. We will be coming out in late summer with a brief public survey in this topic area, and then we'll follow up in the fall with a community workshop.
I've learned a lot of things about just how significant data is, especially when it comes to vital topics like climate change. But I also realize how there could be missing data. For example, my Chuukese community, there's not a lot of data. So I feel like raising awareness, educating the Chuukese community about filling out those surveys.
So far it's really interesting because there's so many different people with different points of view in the meeting, so things that I would never think about. People who are on small farms. There's a person who represents some of the developers, a person from transportation, people who live all over the county.
Recommendations from the climate advisory groups is expected in early 2025. And then we'll move to the public adoption process with the Planning Commission and finally the County Council in the second half of 2025. To learn more and get involved in the Clark County Climate Project, visit the county's webpage at clark.wa.gov/community planning/climate change planning.